Greetings, comrades. We hope you are okay wherever you are. You are here to respond to your questions. That is for ZEP holders. We know we've been recording videos, not giving you an opportunity to ask live as we normally do. We said the load shedding in South Africa is giving us problems in terms of doing live videos. So we do record, pre-recording, and then we post. We then go through the questions on the comment sections. Uh, we try our best to respond to all questions. Um, you might be having a question on how to move to another visa or any question related to documentation. You are free to write it now, then I respond immediately. But just to clarify on the video that you recorded about teachers, those that are teaching science and mathematics subjects, when we spoke about the waiver application, and some comrades thought were misleading. Whatever we communicate in this platform, we firstly engage the authorities, those responsible, so that we give you the correct information. So we have been speaking to the manager in Rivonia of ZEP. We have known this person since 2017 or before that, yeah. In terms of if it is possible to apply for a waiver and a permit at the same time. And they said, yes, it is possible, you can apply. And this is what we were explaining in the previous video. And some thought we were misleading. That's not correct. You can submit a waiver on its own, your waiver application. Once it is responded to, you can then submit an application if, say, the waiver application is approved. But I have seen some business people, they will apply for a waiver, and the Department of Trade and Industry will respond by saying, look, we do not recommend that you be given a permit because your business does not really contribute to the economy in South Africa. But the decision to grant a visa lies with the Department of Home Affairs. The Department of Labor might also say the same, that we do not recommend that you be given a visa, but that decision lies with the Department of Home Affairs. Then the Department of Home Affairs uses its discretion in terms of whether to grant or not to grant. So this is what was explained to us, and this is what we communicated. But if you applied for a waiver, because others applied for a waiver early this year, and they have not been responded to, or the application has not been responded to, there's no reason to do a second application. What we get to understand from the minister when he speaks to the media, he says that he has set up a team that is going through the applications that were submitted. So our advice is that you do not have to do a second application, just wait for them to communicate to you. But we are hoping that we will also meet the Director General to get clarity on most of these things, so that we give you correct information. But we do speak to others in the head office, Department of Home Affairs. We do talk to people at the VFS to get advice. And a comrade Beginkosi Ndlovu says, is it true that the committee has not processed even one application? We do not know. What we know is what is communicated in the public, that I think the minister said there are about 8,000 or so, I can't remember the exact figure, of people that submitted the applications whether the special team that the minister assembled, which he says is led by the former director in the presidency, has started the processing, we do not know. We only know when we get to be told by you once you have submitted your application to say yes, they've responded. Remember also that there are those who were turned down or their applications were rejected, but then there was communication from the department or a letter written by the teaching to say they are recalling that the earlier communication, they will then inform you once the minister has applied his mind. You might have received such communication. Morning, comrades, morning, everyone. And then Comrade Katlego Mahola says, how can South Africans help those on ZEP? And South Africans can help, as we said, on humanitarian grounds, that the number of ZEP holders is far lower than what is being said in the public domain, because the narrative out there, it appears every Zimbabwean is a holder of ZEP, which is not correct. And while the number is said to be 178,000, it is a number that was recorded in 2017. But we know that the number has gone down because people had relocated. Some have gone back to Zimbabwe. Some have gone to Europe or North America. Some, unfortunately, have passed on. So the number has gone down. But we must also say that there are Zimbabweans. When the special permits were introduced in 2010, those that are resident in Zimbabwe, they came over to apply for permits. They are resident in Zimbabwe even now. They've never lived in South Africa. And the reason for them to get these permits, they will simply, when they come to South Africa, not to be restricted in terms of the number of days. Unfortunately, we don't know how they're to submit documentation that they work in South Africa, or proof of running a business in South Africa. We don't know. So the number is quite low in our view. So, Comrade Kakleko, is to say the holders of ZEP who are employed is less than percent of the 4 million migrants that work in South Africa. So we think that you need to lobby the South African government and the other stakeholders to give or to renew for those that are already in the system. Because as we argued that those that are on ZEP already, they are in the permitting regime. The argument out there is that those that undocumented, when they commit a crime, cannot be traced. But a ZEP holder will be traced because their details are with the department. So we think that lobbying is the correct thing to do, and we encourage South African comrades to do so. Already, others, South Africans, are doing that, and we applaud the work that they are doing inside their own organizations in society. We know that some are speaking to even traditional leaders in South Africa to say, look, because of the history between the people of South Africa and the people of Zimbabwe, why don't you intervene on behalf of the holders of ZEP? We welcome all these initiatives by South Africans who are doing this. And that's the answer that we will give Comrade Kaklego. Yeah. Comrade Fungi Ncube says, morning, Mr. Mapena. How can I move to another visa as domestic worker or to apply a waiver? Fungi Ncube, in the last video that we recorded, we said it is difficult. It is difficult. I was talking to someone who was close to the minister. We're having this discussion to say, how do you advise a domestic worker to apply? And it's really difficult because if you look in the Immigration Act in terms of the requirements for one to apply for a general work visa, you need to provide proof that there's no South African that can do the job. But you can honestly not say there's no South African who cannot work as a domestic worker or work as a petrol attendant. And this is why we're saying on humanitarian grounds, and also given the years that one has spent in South Africa, which also answers the question by Comrade Katlego on how South Africans can assist. Because we have people that have been in South Africa for the last week. I met someone, I think 2 weeks or so, someone who says has been in South Africa for the last 31 years. So such individuals, and they also remember that when they came here, they came under very, very difficult conditions. They had to assimilate into the South African society. They were then given amnesty in terms of the documents that they were using. They are now on special permits and they can't renew. So we hope, Comrade Fungi Ncube, that on humanitarian grounds, one can be assisted. But for me to say you're a domestic worker, this is how you apply for a waiver or you move to another visa, it is difficult. Unless, of course, you apply for a relative visa if your partner is a South African or is on PR, then you can apply for a relative. But to apply and saying, I work as a domestic worker at this stage, I really do not have an answer. Comrade Vitrin D says, are there ZEP holders that have successfully received their permits yet? Yes, I have seen others that have received permits. Most of them are those of in the critical skills, or who have critical skills. Others that are married to South Africans, I've seen some that have received. But I know some who have been rejected on the basis that there's no proof that there's no South African who can do the job. I know one case that we are still working on. A person, their company did advertise for the job. It was advertised in the national newspapers. No one applied for the job. No South African applied for the job. They to re-advertise again. I think again no one applied for the job, but the person was rejected. So these are the issues that are quite a bit problematic. Comrade Sipodwe says, Mr. Mabena, as I'm a nanny, can I also apply for a waiver? I think I've already responded to this to say it's difficult really for me to say apply or do not apply. And because in the other video, we did speak to people that will say, come and apply for waiver, 1,550. Because, look, we need to separate. If one wants to make money, say if I want to make money, I will say, come and I will assist you to apply for a waiver. You pay 1,550, which is the fee for a waiver, and then you pay me 300 rands. If I want to make money and you queue in our offices and be assisted to apply for a waiver. But we know that chances are high that you are going to be rejected. This is why we need clarity. This is why we're not calling anyone to our offices to say, look, you are a domestic worker, come, will assist you to apply for a waiver. If I want to make money, I should make money elsewhere, not make money through desperate people who I know might not even succeed. It is not right, but I would rather assist you to say, okay, you don't know how to apply. You have all the required documents in terms of the requirements. You have everything, but you then say, Comrade Mapena, I'm struggling to online, and then say, okay, I will assist you. Come and give me 500 or 300 or 50 rand, whatever, because the application is straightforward. But for me to say, because you are a domestic worker or a nanny, as you put it, and they say, no, come and I will assist you to apply for a waiver. When at this stage we have no clarity we think that it is not correct in my view. I don't think that it is correct to do so. So we wait for the planned meetings that we are requesting, so that we try and get more information. As soon as we have the information, we will certainly go in to communicate to you. Comrade, one day, Dirorimwe. Morning, Comrade Mapen. How are you? Seen anyone with this new permit as ZEP? Yes, I answered this. Others have got that. And then Comrade Tabo says, I work as a technician for a private company and I don't know which visa should I apply. I have been working for this company for 12 years now. Please look into the critical skills if your qualifications are indeed in the critical skills, because I will not know if it is listed. Remember, the list was revised. Some uh, professions were removed from the critical skills. So please look up into the critical skills list. Then your question will be answered. Comrade Samuel Nyakanyane says, "Uyazi wena Mabhena uyadina man, we must do you and violently so for encouraging this invasion." Comrade Samuel, I honestly respect your opinion, because it is your view, and I respect your view. I will not contest it. Um, so I'll leave it there. I do respect, but the reality is that South Africa is not an island, and migration is older than us, and it's a global phenomenon. You saw, I think it was the Texas governor in the United States who put migrants in buses, sent them to New York, and they are dealing with the migrants in New York from Mexico. We spoke about the migrants or refugees that moved from Asia when we were analyzing Germany, how the then Chancellor of Germany dealt with 1 million migrants. We know of Africans that drown in the seas in Libya trying to get to Europe and so forth. Many people have died on Limpopo River trying to cross. So migration is a global phenomenon. It's a reality. But Comrade Samuel Kanyane, I honestly respect your view. It's based on your own political orientation. And I've said that when we're discussing, I think the contribution by Zimbabweans in the struggle against apartheid, we spoke of Chief Albert Luthuli, who was born outside Bulawayo, and you know the ANC headquarters is named after him. We spoke of the late Ubabu Makhathini Kuduza, born in Choloche, Zimbabwe, who during the underground, when Nelson Mandela was underground, was part of the committee that was providing meals for Tatu Mandela. We spoke of Thomas Nkobi, born in Bulilima, who paid huge sacrifice, contributed to the struggle against the white minority rule against apartheid in South Africa, and many ZEP who were uh, 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 who in 1980, post 1980, who actually died in the hands of ZANU-PF for assisting MK. You know that many ZEP after independence, they were actually moving arms of war across Limpopo to assist South Africa in its struggle against the apartheid. And Comrade Mzila is there, former MDC MP. You speak to him in Bulawayo. There have been people that were literally moving the arms. And the arms cage that Emerson Mnangagwa, when was Minister of State Security in Zimbabwe, when he boarded a plane from Harare, alongside Joshua Nkoma arriving in Bulawayo, then going to a farm to say these are Zipra arms of war. They were actually MK arms of war. And many people in Matabeleland died in Matabeleland because the whole Kukuraundi issue was to block the military corridor for MK from Zambia, through Matebele, North Matebele and South. And the people paid for their lives. But like I'm saying, I respect your view, Comrade Samuel, but you need also to understand the role that ZEP does, ZAPU, people of Matebele in particular paid in terms of supporting the struggle against apartheid. And when I listen to these new movements, Operation Dudula, Put South Africa First, and so forth, they think that the people that fought for the liberation of South Africa South Africans that went outside were put in camps, and that none of us or our parents contributed to the struggle against apartheid. But well, it's for another day, but fine. Comrade Gaglewo said we should respect each other, especially those who want to comply with the laws. Correct. Comrade Vitran D says, will the extra 6 months be enough to process everyone if everyone applies after the court case? The 6 months is more than enough. Remember, in 2010, the application process started on the 1st of October, and by 31st of December, it was closed. And 295,000 people had submitted applications. Again, in 2014, the application process started on the 1st of October, and by 31st of December, 2014, everyone had submitted the applications. So was in 2017. So it is not about the period, the 6 months. Even if today the minister were to say every ZEP holder submit your application, you are renewing ZEP within a month, everyone will have submitted. But the challenge is the requirements. People do not know how to apply. It is not that people do not want to apply, but it is the requirement, because the questions people that are asking to say, I'm a domestic worker, how do I apply for a waiver? All these things were not there. But once the process is made easy, as explained, to say these are the requirements, please apply. Within a month, everyone will have been processed. Thanks, Comrade Sipot Dube. Uthi siyabonga Ms. Mabhena ngoba abantu basitshela amanga bethu we must apply for a waiver. Indeed, you have to apply for a waiver, and we have explained, Comrade Sipot Dube, on how you apply for a waiver. But for a domestic worker, we do not have information on what requirements we want them to waiver. Like I'm saying, you're a domestic worker, what is it that it should be waived? What requirements should be removed? That's the difficult part that we have, and it's difficult for us to advise. Comrade Paprakwa says, morning, Mr. Mabhena. Thank you so much for the dissemination of critical information, which is very educative and crucial to us, country, even in changing times. No, thanks so much. Comrade Lehemo says, is it not about how many Zimbabweans on ZEP? It's about putting South Africans first. Certainly, we agree, Comrade Malehe Humo. But the difficult that is out there, which you will agree with us, is that you have more undocumented migrants that are being exploited by employers to an extent that employers prefer to employ cheap labor, right? And it is not the issue that the government is dealing with, in our view. Those that are on special permits, ZEP holders, many of them have been to CCMA to take their employers to CCMA because they are legal in the country and they are refusing to be exploited. So once you treat a ZEP holder like a South African because they are legal, you end exploitation of cheap migrant labor. What the employers then do, they go for the undocumented. This is why they are giving notices to ZEP holders, because they know they have rights. This is why they will not employ South Africans. They go for the undocumented for the purposes of exploiting them. This is what is happening. And the minister then speaks of, Minister of Labor speaks of the distortion in the labor market. We have seen how, even in the farming community, where seasonal workers, they will employ undocumented migrants, they will give them few rents. as salaries. And because these will not be able to even approach the labor court to say we've been underpaid and so forth. And the domestic workers who are undocumented are actually kept as slaves, right? They are provided accommodation, which is called the stay in. They stay at the workplace. They have no off day. You are off on a Saturday, but in the morning you have to clean the house at around 10, 11. You are allowed to go out, but at 5 you should be back at your station at home where you work. You are not allowed the visitors because your visitors are said to be stealing from the employer and so forth. So the undocumented are exploited. The introduction of special permits was a step in the right direction in trying to deal with the issue of exploiting cheap migrant labor. And it came at the right time. Remember that even some farming communities, on month end, the employer will call the police, deport everyone who has been working. That is exploitation at its best. So the issue of ZEP or special permits, it was actually trying to also deal with the question of exploiting migrant labor, because if a ZEP holder and a South African all earn equal salary, the employer will not have a reason to prefer a ZEP holder over a South African. But they are now trying to offload the ZEP holder. They are not employing South Africans, but they are going for the undocumented. And the current discourse that is there is on ZEP, not on how the undocumented are being exploited. And this is what has been missing for all these months in the public discourse, because the narrative out there, it appeared as if every Zimbabwean is on ZEP, which is not the case. Uh, Comrade Ba- Babrakwa, you'll forgive me if I pronounce your name wrongly. I have a designation with an accounting board and satisfy all the critical skills requirement, but the NQF level 8 requirement as I have an AQF level 7. This is what we said yesterday in the video, that you apply for a waiver, you say your level is NQF 7, but the requirement in terms of the requirements, they need the NQF 8. So if your employer can demonstrate that they cannot get someone who's on NQF 8, then they should then write a motivation letter that the department should grant you a visa. That's the requirement that you want them to waiver, the requirement which is level 8, because you have level 7. Yes, you can apply for critical skills. Barbara, I've already answered that. Comrade Memo Responder says, it's the door for us domestic workers. My boss tried to apply, but she was never replied, and she paid 1,500. You just have to wait if you applied through VFS, because the minister said the team is now working. So let's see how far they go in attending to the applications that were submitted. Comrade Nombego Kumalo says, to apply for critical skills permit, SASEC certificate is required. SASEC requires permit to issue with a certificate. It's a cat and mouse situation. How do we deal with this? Comrade Nombego Kumalo, I referred you to a group of educators, because in the beginning of the year, we were dealing with this question. We have a Telegram group of teachers. I'm trying to check here. It has over 1,000 teachers or so, and most of them were raising these issues. I think they found a way around that. I think you sent me. I sent you my number, which is 083 340 1000. I said WhatsApp me so that I send you the link to join that chat group, so that other teachers that had similar challenges can be able to assist you. It has over 1,000 teachers or so. Comrade Jacqueline Kungwe says most Zimbabweans are living either going back home or on cruise ship jobs, and to other countries where getting permits is not a hassle and not complicated. Well, we wish them all the best. Comrade Hamohelo Habane says, only thing that's going to help if you take Malema to Zim with you and fight ZANU together. Comrade Kahena, follow the videos that I record, political videos. I think there's a new video that I recorded on how the MDC lost and couldn't win political power. And you also spoke about, I think last week or so, about why the Kabembe Commission report, Observer Mission report was kept a secret for years, and it required High Court in South Africa, I think, to make it public because everyone in Africa said the elections were free and fair, but the elections were held in a hostile environment. They were not free and fair. Um, and of course, we must be an internationalist, Comrade Hane. President Mandela said, we cannot, as South Africans, enjoy our freedom if the people of Palestine are not free. So you should begin to say, as South Africans, we cannot enjoy our freedom if Zimbabweans are not free. So assist us in the struggle. It's not about taking Malema. You should also contribute to ensure that elections are held in a conducive environment, and more particularly ensure that in Zimbabwe we rebuild our economy just as South Africa is rebuilding its economy and the entire SADC region. Comrade Pilani Ngenkosi Ndlovu says, hi, Comrade Mabena. Is waiver application for ZEP still open? It is open until the 30th of June 2023. You should not confuse the statement which was issued by the Department of Home Affairs that was speaking to people that have been applying for waivers who are not ZEP holders. So you should not confuse that with ZEP holders. So it is still open. If you qualify, we expect that your application should be in by now. So, comrades, thank you so much. We've spent 32 minutes on this platform. We will also try next week to do a similar session where we take your questions and respond. Otherwise, continue subscribing to this YouTube channel. If indeed you missed this and you are going to get this, see this video later because of other commitments, kindly circulate to your contacts and subscribe. Otherwise, have a great weekend. And if you are in South Africa, happy Heritage Month. We'll discuss about the heritage. What are we talking about when we talk about the heritage? Otherwise, have a great weekend. Goodbye.